Hey, bada swing, bada. We've got a wild new theory on who's eating Negan's bat on today's Nerdist News. It's still a long day's journey before we get any answers in the season 7 premiere of The Walking Dead if you watch the supersized and, let's just say it, controversial finale. You know, brand new big bad Negan kept the gang at a barbed wired bat's length for the deadliest game of eeny, meeny, miny, moe since the West Georgia Correctional Facility invited the governor to their last annual field day. After a whole mess of build-up, Negan chose one unlucky hero to meet the business end of Lucille, but the question remains, who? With filming underway on one of the hottest shows on television, fans are chomping at the bit to get a hold of any loose table scraps that may finally reveal who ends up the loser in the worst version of whack-a-mole ever, so we've sifted through all of the evidence to figure it out, and our theory may shock you. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, there have been a few particularly spoilery websites that recently got in trouble with AMC, and because of our head honcho Chris Hardwick and our relationship with Talking Dead, we're keeping all of our evidence on the up and up, so no set pics, no leaks, no problem. We're pulling all of our theories from legit sources. So, let's get into this. Which one of the 11 potential victims did Negan kill? Well, according to our theory, that's the wrong question. What you should be asking is which 2 potential victims did he kill? Dun dun dun. That is right. I said it. 2. Crazy or just crazy enough to work? Let's start with our first candidate. Now, this one is going to be controversial because it seems so obvious, but hear us out. We definitely think Glenn is zombie food. I mean, he has got to be. Yes, everyone knows he's the one whose head goes full-on Gallagher watermelon in the original scene, but in the show, there's evidence by way of the much-discussed recurring first-person shot throughout the episode, starting with the van. Originally, we all thought the shot was coming from Daryl's point of view, but upon further analysis, it looks like it actually came from someone a little further to the right, aka America's favorite former pizza boy himself, Glenn. Now, this would make for a tidy little parallel with the POV shot in the final scene. Now, we should also mention that a rewatch of season 6 showed us that Glenn might have already caught a glimpse at his future in episode 12 when he snuck a peek at some Polaroids on the wall of Lucille's victims, heads all bashed in and bloody. Was this just an Easter egg for comic book readers or foreshadowing his future? But there's evidence outside of the show as well. Back in April, Yeun was quietly cast in a new Netflix sci-fi flick Okja, and while we don't know much about Yoon's role, we do know that the cast is shooting in Seoul, South Korea, which is famously not Atlanta, Georgia. But put all of that aside, it seems crazy that Kirkman and company would leave us with the exact same death from the comic book, especially when they made the choice to leave it as a cliffhanger unless there is going to be a second victim. Whoa. Imagine Glenn gets his head bashed in and someone stands up to defend him. But who would be so brave and ballsy? How about the already wounded Daryl? In a word, no. Yes, Norman has a brand new AMC show, Ride with Norman Reedus, but that's only set to be 6-hour-long episodes, easy to shoot off season. Plus, as the If Daryl Dies We Riot hashtag proves, he's just too damn popular. So if not Daryl, who else's death would be meaningful enough and surprising enough to account for the major cliffhanger? Who's the other beloved hothead of the group? Abraham? Step right up. And here's why. First of all, Negan wants to make an impression on the heroes. He doesn't like people that don't back down. During Eeny, Meeny, Miny, No Please Don't Kill Our Favorites, Abraham stares unflinchingly, looking Negan in the eyes. Plus, it would send a pretty huge message to take out the biggest guy the heroes have. Also, in the comics, Abraham already bit the dust. Of course, his iconic comic book death by arrow through the eye went to sweet, sweet Denise this season, so fans have been on edge wondering if/when he'd join his comic alter ego in the afterlife. We can't forget that Abraham is finally starting to get a little happiness by way of his new relationship with Sasha, so there's really no better time to kill him off. That brings us to the actor himself. On May 27th, Michael Cudlitz responded to Eugene's Josh McDermott's tweet about working on a film saying, "I had a blast working with you," as in past tense. Whoopsies! Within 10 minutes, the original tweet was deleted, changed to a simple enjoy. But since it's the internet, the original tweet was already immortalized. Not only that, but with 2 months of filming already under the belt for season 7, it seems suspect that he was spotted at Wizard World in Sacramento just a few weeks ago with his shockingly Abraham red hair back to its original color. Now, this alone wouldn't be enough for us to go crying, "Death by Lucille!" But coupled with the adjusted tweet, his attitude during the finale, and Negan's hatred for anyone who tries to challenge him, things are looking pretty grim for this former Army sergeant. This double down would mean a definite curveball and an attempt to justify that controversial cliffhanger, so forget about Daryl, forget about Aaron, and forget about Carl's other eye. We're betting on a double dose of death once season 7 comes to town. But what do you guys think of our theory? Do you think 2 fan favorites getting slaughtered before our very eyes would be enough to make up for that season ender? Do you place other characters further up the chopping block than Glenn and Abraham? Are we completely off our rockers? Let's discuss. Happy 4th of July, everybody! Put your feet up, fire up that barbecue. Just make sure you check the meat for human. Looking at you, Terminus. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to keep it locked to Nerdist.com for all of my Walking Dead Nerdist news.